Can we all just please take a moment of silence to appreciate the beauty that is Marwan Kenzari? Oh, I'd rub his magic lamp. So Aladdin is the latest movie in the very long list of the live action adaptations that Disney is doing of their classic animated movies. And it tells the story of an orphan boy named Aladdin who's homeless. He runs into a princess. He finds a magic lamp that has a genie. Villains, monkeys, parrots, stuff happens. You know the story. I'm not gonna recap it. And so out of all the classic Disney animated movies, Aladdin was always my favorite one. And Lion King was like right there neck and neck. So to hear that both of these movies were coming out this year, I was excited. I used to know basically every line of dialogue for Aladdin verbatim. And so this live action version stars Mena Massoud as Aladdin, Naomi Scott as Princess Jasmine. Some people will know her from the 2017 version of Power Rangers. She played the Pink Ranger. Marwan Kenzari as Jafar, and Will Smith as the Genie. So let's get down to it, because I know this movie has a lot of mixed reviews, and I said this in one of my other reviews previously, that when I'm gonna do a YouTube video about a movie that I watched, I try not to watch or read any of the reviews because I don't want it to impact my opinion and what I'm gonna ultimately say about the movie. So I do know that there are a lot of mixed reviews for this movie, but I don't know specifically what people have said, like whether they loved it or hated it. But for me, I actually like this movie. With that said, let's get the most controversial part out of the way. When it was announced that Will Smith was cast as the Genie, the internet flipped out. And I gotta admit, I was part of that as well. But I wasn't as bad as the internet, because I was like, I don't know if I'm a fan of this, but I'm willing to give it a shot. No, the internet said this is a terrible decision. This is the worst casting ever. It's gonna be a terrible movie. And so with that, I went to this movie just wondering what Will Smith was going to do as the Genie. Like, I was always of the mindset where I was like, no, he's not going to be Robin Williams, but you can't expect him to be Robin Williams, and I don't want him to be Robin Williams. Robin Williams' performance as the Genie was definitely iconic. No one can replace it, no one can duplicate it, and no one can top it. And I don't expect anyone to do that. All I want them to do is just take this role and make it their own and have fun. And I feel like Will Smith did that. He took this role and he had fun. Now granted, he was Will Smith in this role, but Robin Williams was Robin Williams as the Genie. Like, in all honesty, I enjoyed this movie way more whenever Will Smith as the Genie was on screen. Now granted, I enjoyed his performance more when he was in his human form as opposed to the CGI Blue Genie form. A, because it didn't look that good, and then B, I just felt like I had more of a connection to his character. He seemed more real when he looked human as opposed to CGI. With that said though, there's a story beat that they take with the Genie that wasn't in the original movie and it wasn't even in the Broadway show. And I was like, I don't know if I like this, but I can't do nothing about it. It is what it is. But also with that, it makes me go, so even if this movie makes a bunch of money, there's no way they can do Return of Jafar because of what happened, right? But who knows? If it's one thing that Hollywood knows how to do, they know how to sequelize something. Also, I wasn't that big on Will Smith singing. Like, I know Will Smith is a singer, and I've seen him do interviews where he said this is the first time he's actually sung. Now, granted, Robin Williams isn't a great singer either. I feel like at least in his performance, he actually tried to sing, whereas Will Smith, I felt like he was talking. But I say all that to say, again, overall, I really enjoyed his performance. The movie was better when he was on screen, and I felt like he was having fun with this role, and that's really all I was looking for. Now, with that out of the way, let me get to the actual story itself. The original Aladdin was like 90 minutes, I believe, and this movie was a little over 2 hours, like 2 hours and 10 minutes. So there's a lot of stuff from the original movie that they kept, but with that, there's a lot of stuff that they added to flesh out this movie. And some of the stuff they added, I did enjoy, but then there's other stuff that they added, I was like, that was stupid. For example, and this is a minor spoiler, but like I mentioned before, most people know the story of Aladdin, so they pretty much skip past the very beginning. You see Aladdin and Jasmine's lives before they meet each other, and basically in this movie, Aladdin and Jasmine's first scene is them basically meeting each other, and I was like, well, that was fast. Speaking of fast, there was a choice that Guy Ritchie did where during some of the musical numbers, covers while they were dancing. It looked as if I was watching it on like Netflix and I pressed like the fast forward button to hit it like ×2. He did this more than once and I was like, it basically took me out of the movie because it looked weird and I was like, why is he doing this? It's almost as if he was like, oh, Disney is only giving me a certain amount of time to tell this story and we're running out of film. Let's fast forward the dance sequences, guys. We don't have any time. Also with that, I felt like even though this movie was 2 hours and 9 minutes, 10 minutes, I felt like there was a lot of moments in this movie that were rushed. Like I mentioned the fact that Jasmine and Aladdin's first scene, they were already meeting each other. And there were other moments where they tried to recreate the moments that happened in the original cartoon, but because they either rushed it or they decided to make a different choice to get to the same moment, it didn't have the same emotional impact that the original cartoon did. Another example of that, like in the original cartoon, right before they sang A Whole New World, there was a moment where Jasmine basically telling Aladdin, who was going by Prince Ali at the time, to go away, leave her alone. She doesn't want to be bothered. She's not a prize to be won. And so Aladdin, feeling defeated, decided to leave her alone, and he basically jumped off the balcony and was going to ride on the carpet to go away. And Jasmine, not knowing about the carpet, she thought he basically tried to kill himself. And she looks over the balcony, tries to call him back, and he looks back over the railing, and that's when she discovers the carpet. It was a genuine moment. Whereas in the movie, he basically jumped off the balcony to impress her about his magic carpet, to show off his magic carpet. Again, it didn't feel as genuine as the movie version did. So again, they got to the same conclusion of getting to A Whole New World, but they took a different route, and it was a route that was less emotional. So I didn't like that. With that said though, overall, I did enjoy the chemistry between Aladdin and Jasmine. You could tell why he would fall for her and why she would fall for him. I mean, hell, I'd fall for him too. I mean, look at this guy. But again, with that said, I just wish certain moments had the same emotional weight that it did in the original cartoon. Just like in the beginning where they first meet and they go to Aladdin's shack and they both say a monologue and it ends where it's like, sometimes you just feel trapped. They recreated that moment in the movie, but they did it in a different way, and again, less emotional. Even though I did mention that I thought they had good chemistry, Naomi Scott was definitely a stronger actor than Mena Massoud. Not to say he was bad, but he wasn't as good as her. And in addition to that, like, I thought her singing voice was pretty good. Like, I thought she was a good singer. But him, on the other hand, I didn't think he was that good of a singer. He could dance his ass off, but singing, so when they sang A Whole New World, like, I was feeling her parts, but then when it got to his parts, I was just like, all right, let's get back to her now. With that said though, there was one song added to this movie for Princess Jasmine at the end that completely took me out of the movie. Like, I understand what they were trying to say with the song, but the execution of it, I thought was poor. Like, I was sitting in the theater with my friend and we both looked at each other. We were like, what just happened? Because basically the song, and I'm not gonna say what the song is or what it was about or anything like that, but when that song happened, it felt like the movie stopped and it broke out into a music video, and I was just like, okay, that was interesting. And by interesting, I mean not a good choice. Abu was cute. I really enjoyed Abu. I'm glad they didn't go the Broadway route of giving him 3 human friends. But another CGI animal that I didn't really enjoy that much was Iago. In this movie, Iago didn't really talk that much, and Iago is known as being a character that just doesn't shut up, especially when given the opportunity to talk. Obviously, when he was around other people that didn't know he spoke, he didn't speak. But when it was just him and Jafar alone, he wouldn't shut his mouth. But this version of Iago, again, he didn't really talk that much. And on top of that, they made the choice of having him actually sound like a parrot and not an actual person. I don't know if I was a fan of that. And on top of that, like, the character of Iago was devoid of character. Like, he had no personality whatsoever. And considering what Iago was to the original movies and also what his character develops into in Return of Jafar and The King of Thieves and the animated series that followed that, I felt like that was a huge disservice to his character. As far as Jafar, I just thought he was okay. Anyway, like I said, yes, this movie has flaws, but overall, I enjoyed it. Because of all the mixed reviews, I was expecting to go in and hate this movie, especially Will Smith's performance. But honestly, the most controversial thing of this movie, Will Smith, was actually, to me, me, the best part about this movie. And yeah, like I mentioned, some of the story beats and things being rushed and editing choices and all that other stuff, but for the most part, it didn't take away that much of my enjoyment for this movie. And so before I actually rate it, I want you to check out the description box below. It gives a summary of what my rating system is. I would say, to me, Aladdin is a very minor hit. So what did you guys think of the live action version of Aladdin? Did you agree with me, or do you feel the complete opposite of me and hated this movie? Let me know down in the comment section below. Also, check out my Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Links for that will be in the description box below. Follow me on there, and also check out the other videos on my channel and give this video a thumbs up. It'll really help out the channel. And while you're at that, please share my videos with your friends, families, and neighbors to help me grow. And as always, catch you guys next time.